Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast, Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floater to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. Speaking of those Lakers,
Hold on. But I didn't make
I said Denver's gonna win.
Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event.
Thanks to Throwing Jabs and Keys to the City. Those were their promos right there. Obviously, Keys to the City, Ted and Trevor, they'll be on this week talking about the Giants and Browns. And Throwing Jabs every Saturday at 10. Joe Aguirre, our producer Jace Garcia, and Jared Jones. And now, welcome to Sports Talk with R and J. I'm your host, Steve Risser, along with Justin D'Onofrio. And we got a big week 15 is upon us, and we got a matchup in the AFC West on Thursday night as the Raiders are trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. They haven't been playing well the last 3 weeks at all. Obviously, getting crushed to the Falcons. They should have lost to the Jets, and then last week getting crushed to the Colts. And this resulted in Paul Gunter getting fired as their defensive coordinator because their defense has been playing terrible. And looking at this game, as we remember earlier in the year when these two teams played, it was a really close competitive game with Justin Herbert going up against Derek. It came down to the last play of the game where it looked like the Chargers won, but the receiver was out of bounds, and then the Raiders ended up winning the 31-26. So and after that, both seasons kind of went in the other direction. But the Raiders have been struggling. The Chargers did win a game last week over the Falcons. So I think this is going to, and for the game, I think this is going to be a close competitive game. But I'm going to go with an upset. I'm going to take the Chargers 31-28, and here's why. I think they're going to be able to control the ground game with Austin Eckler and Kalen Ballage, so they're going to get yards on the ground, which is going to set up play action for Justin Herbert, and that's why I think the Chargers are going to score in the 30s. And I think the Raiders are going to score points in this game. We don't know if Josh Jacobs is going to play or not, but I think Derek Carr moves the ball. But I think the Chargers' defense makes a stand at the end. I think Joey Bosa makes a big play at the end, gets pressure on Derek Carr, either sacks him or forces a fumble. And I got the Chargers pulling an upset in this game. I got the Chargers winning at 31-28. Now, Justin, I got the Chargers. But can the firing of Paul Gunter spark the Raiders in their defense and keep their playoff hopes alive?
I think it could. Short week, so it is tough for Rob Marinelli here to kind of create like a good game plan here. But he likes guys that play a lot of energy, play a lot of fire. The worry for me is they're really banged up in the secondary, so I don't know who's going to play or who's not. Just with Abram being it's questionable right now. But I think they find a way to win it, just because I trust the Raiders a bit more than I do the Chargers, and I think their defense does find a way to force a turnover too late, and they will snap their losing streak here, and they'll find a way in a short week to beat the Chargers.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Raiders obviously need this win. Raiders don't win this game, there's no way they're making the playoffs at all. But we'll go to the Saturday slate, and we got the Bills trying to win the AFC East for the first time since 1995 as they head out to Denver to face the Broncos. And the way Josh Allen is playing, I don't think there's many defense that could stop him. And I think he has a huge game Saturday night. This is the game in the 4:30 windows. This is the game going on during Clemson Notre Dame. So we don't know how many people are going to be watching this game. But I think Josh Allen has a big game for the Bills. I think he gets the ball to Stephon Diggs, gets the ball to Cole Beasley. I think they'll even get a little bit of a running game with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. And the Bills' defense has been playing well lately, and I think they forced a turnover or two from Drew Lock. I do think the Broncos moved the ball a little bit against the Bills' defense. I think Melvin Gordon has some yards on the ground. Drew Lock had a good game last week getting the ball to KJ Hamler. But that's not going to be enough. I got the Bills winning the AFC East for the first time in a quarter century. Now, Justin, I got the Bills, but we know Denver's a tough place to play. Can the Broncos spoil the Bills' chance to win the AFC for the first time in a quarter century?
I think there's a chance. I do have the Bills winning so 28-24, coming off the emotional win on a Sunday night. Broncos look good. Drew Lock played very well. It is definitely a tough place to play. And the Broncos run the ball well, and that's kind of the Bills aren't great at stopping the run. So if they can kind of keep away from Josh Allen in that offense, Melvin Gordon can have a big game. I think the Broncos definitely hang in there, but Drew Lock definitely has to be able to protect the football. He can't make mistakes, and I think the Bills will be able to go on the road though and still pull it off 2024. But would not be shocked to see Denver get a win.
Got the late game on Saturday night between the Panthers and the Packers, and thank God the SEC championship game is going on because this isn't going to be a good game at all. As I think the Packers win this game big. I think I got them win it 34-17. Justin, I'm assuming you got the Packers, but do you agree with me?
Yeah, I got the Packers 31-21.
Yeah, so we will head to the Sunday slate, and we got to start with my Giants on Sunday Night Football against the Browns. They laid an egg last week against the Cardinals. This is a must-win game for the Giants. And obviously you saw the Browns on Monday night. Even though they lost, they played really, really well against the Ravens. You got to give it Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has played, really well the last 2 weeks, and even since Odell Beckham's been out. I mean, if you look at the numbers since Odell Beckham's been out, it's been 13 touchdowns, 3 picks. The team's record is 5-2. Let's be honest, Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback without Odell Beckham. I mean, and this is a better offense without Odell Beckham. I mean, they're able to run the ball better, and Baker Mayfield's able to spread the ball around. So really, Kevin Stefanski's done a great job, but the Browns' offense is definitely better without Odell Beckham. And for this game, I do think the Giants' defense contains the Browns on the ground. I don't think the Browns run wild on the Giants, but I think the difference in this game is going to be Jones is banged up. We don't know if he's going to play or not. There are reports now that he might not play. And I think the Browns contain the Giants' running game too, and they get pressure on either Jones or Colt McCoy, and that's ultimately going to make the difference in the game. I think the Giants' defense is good enough to keep them in this game, but I don't think the Giants win this game. I got the Browns beating the Giants 23-16. But Justin, can the Giants contain the Browns' run game and do enough to pull the upset?
I think they can. I do have the Giants winning this thing 23-20. Or 24-20, my bad. I think, last week was awful. I think your offensive line plays a lot better this week. I don't think Jones is 100%. So, again, I don't think it'd be the worst case in the world if we see Colt McCoy and just kind of be like a game manager like they had him against Seattle. I definitely like the way the Browns played Monday night. That was a tough loss. I think we saw a lot.
We might have lost Justin there, but yeah. Oh, did you back, Justin?
Yeah. The Giants. I think they play a lot better this week, and they find a way to win. 24-20.
Yeah, I could see the game being very, very competitive and close. But here's the thing: I just think that the Browns' offense is playing well. The Giants are just going to have to definitely get in the 20s to win that game. There's no way if the Giants don't get in the 20s, they win this game. I think, and they're going to have to run the football. You saw the Ravens did a good job running the ball against the Browns, especially Lamar Jackson. But the problem is with Jones not being 100%, the Giants are not going to have that threat of Jones running the football. So they're going to have to do it with Wayne Gallman. They're going to have to do it with Alfred Morris. And last week, they were okay doing it, but they weren't great running the ball last week. So they're gonna have to do it with those two guys to help Jones or McCoy off play action. And the thing about the Giants defensively is they're not going to get the kind of pressure they got on Russell Wilson that they're going to get on Baker Mayfield because the Browns' offensive line is pretty good. So I think that Mayfield might have a turnover or two, but I think he's going to make some plays in this game. He's going to be able to make enough for the Browns to win the game.
Yeah, I think he definitely, but again, the way the Giants played, and I like the way that Judge talks and all this. I think he likes to fire him this week, and I think you get a really inspired effort this week. I think they do slow down the Browns' running game. I think their offensive line plays a lot better, which I think could open up the running game for Morris and Wayne Gallman. And I think their receivers make enough plays. So, and I think they'll make a play or two with the special teams. So I just, and with the way the Browns lost too, just an emotional loss, coming out on a short week, playing another primetime game, I see the Giants being able to come in here and take. I still think this is a good Giants team. That kind of sat their 4-game winning streak, kind of went backwards from everything we saw from that 4-game winning streak. But I think they regained part of it, and I do think they find a way to slow down Baker enough and do get the win.
Yeah, you do make a good point about the Browns coming off an emotional game, this being a short week, and that's definitely one of the reasons why I don't think they scored anywhere near as many points as they scored on Monday night. I think yes, they're going to be they're going to be a little bit tired coming off a short week and an emotional game. So I think they might be a little bit They could come out a little bit flat, but I just think talent-wise, the Browns are the more talented team. And the quarterback, and I hate to say this, I don't like Baker Mayfield, but the quarterback's playing better. That's why I got the Browns winning it close.
Yeah, Baker, the last few weeks, Baker has played a lot, and it's kind of giving those signs that, he can be, he can live up to that number one pick, that hype. Um, but yeah, I think part of it last week, just Daniel Jones just wasn't 100% healthy. I don't know if he's going to be able to this week.
I saw on Bleacher Report he suffered another leg injury, so he might not even play.
Yeah, so that's, and then you get, then that's the case. It may be the better option, even, if he's not 100%, just to go with Colt McCoy.
Oh, last week they should have played Colt McCoy. There's no way they should have played Jones last week. They should have played Colt McCoy and try to run the football and try out to win that way with their running game and their defense. The mistake they played was playing Daniel Jones last week. I really like what Joe Judge has done this year, but that was the biggest coaching mistake he's made this year was playing Daniel Jones last week.
Yeah, because I'm with you 100% there because he was not healthy, and I think if it is Colt McCoy this week, I think they do the same thing 2 weeks ago. They just he just does enough. They put in a good game plan because most they probably put in something for him just in case. So he's probably been practicing with the first team most of the week. So I think they do find a way to do enough with Colt McCoy as a game manager, and they do find a way to knock off the Browns.
We'll stay in the NFC East as we have the Seahawks heading all the way out to Washington to face the Washington football team. And I think this game is going to be a very, obviously, close competitive game. I think this front four for Washington is going to give Russell Wilson a really, really hard time, just like the Giants did, just like the Rams did. I think the front four is going to give him a hard time. I do have the Seahawks win at 20-16, and why I have the Seahawks win at 20-16 is I don't think Washington's offense is going to do enough in this game. I think they might benefit from a turnover here or there. They only scored 9 points on offense last week. They got defensive touchdowns. They had the interception from Cameron Curl, and they had the strip sack from Chase Young. So I don't think Washington's offense is going to be able to do enough, no matter who starts, if it's Dwayne Haskins or Alex Smith. I don't know if they're going to get Antonio Gibson back either. So I think in a close competitive game, I got the Seahawks winning. But the question is, Justin, we know Washington's front four is great. Can they do what the Giants and Rams did and stay in first place?
Yeah, I think there's a good possibility. And we saw Chase Young's been great this year. Montez Sweat's been great. They both, I think, you can find out like 13 sacks. Washington's top 5 in sacks for total right now in the NFL. I think there's definitely a possibility. But I'm with you. I think that, their defense is going to have to score touchdowns and special team touchdowns, or at least put them in field goal range, or, get them in Seattle's territory to have a chance. Because, whoever plays quarterback, I just don't think they're going to be able to drive down the field against Seattle and be able to score enough points. But I think they could definitely blow up the Seattle's offensive line and make Russell make a few mistakes, and that's how they're going to have to win this game. But I think Seattle does enough here to survive Washington, and they'll move, and they'll move to 10-4.
The Eagles stayed in the NFC East race last week as they upset the Saints, and they got another huge game this week against the Cardinals. And Jalen Hurts definitely gave that team a spark. The defense played really well, and then he played pretty well too. He ran for over 100 yards. He made some plays. He hit Jalen Reagor on that crossing route. He played a pretty good game for the Eagles to get that huge win over the Saints. But I think in this game, Kyler Murray's going to have we saw last week the Cardinals offense getting back on track. I think they're going to have another big week this week. I think that Kyler Murray's going to have a big game, throwing the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. I think Kenyon Drake will have a big game on the ground. I think the Cardinals get in the 30s. And I got the Cardinals winning at 30-23. And the big reason why is I think Hopkins, Murray, and Drake have big games. And I think on offense, the Eagles, move the ball with Jalen Hurts. But the problem is they're going to be kicking field goals while Arizona scores touchdowns. And I got the Cardinals beating the Eagles 30-23. But Justin, Jalen Hurts played well last week. Can he win his second in a row this week?
It's going to be tough. I have Arizona winning 27-20. I think they can hang in there. I just don't think they'll be able to do enough, especially against Arizona's weapons, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think Murray could have a big game running, throwing, Dan Hopkins involved. Hurts played well again. Wasn't great or anything, but for his first start, he played well, and he lit a spark for that team, which they needed. They got Miles Sanders involved last week too, which helped the running game. I think the first time since 2002, I think that the quarterback and running back for the Eagles both went over 100 yards in a game. Um, as long as as long as Hurts protects the football, doesn't make too many mistakes, and puts his defense in a tough spot, they definitely have a chance to win this game. But I just think Arizona's got too much offensively right now, and I think the Cardinals will be able to find a way to beat the Eagles at home.
We go to a matchup in the AFCs down in Miami as we got Frank's Miami Dolphins facing Justin's New England Patriots. And I think the Dolphins win to 20-12. I think it's a tough AFC East battle. I think Belichick does give Tua some problems. I think Tua struggles a little bit in this game, but the problem is the Patriots offense is not good, and they're facing a really good Dolphins defense, which is going to force a turnover from Cam Newton. Cam Newton, who should have been benched last week, I would have started Jarrett Stidham at this point from the Patriots, but I think the Patriots figured they're still in the playoffs, so they still have an outside shot at the playoffs, so why not just start Cam Newton? But I think obviously a close competitive game, but I got the Dolphins winning it. But Justin, Belichick's had a lot of success against young QBs. Can he continue the success against Tua and keep the Pats' slim playoff hopes alive? I think we might have lost Justin there. But yeah, I mean.
I'm back.
Are you back? You're back? Okay. You back, Justin?
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on. I got an Ethernet cable too, so I don't know what's going on. But I don't want to keep losing for a second. But yeah, in the last decade, Belichick's against rookie quarterbacks, the touchdown interception ratio is 14 touchdowns to 20 interceptions. So they definitely been great. I think the Dolphins win 17-13. So I think they slowed Tua down, but again, I just don't trust their offense to score any points right now. Again, I think they do kind of the same thing they did against Herbert, and kind of do same of this stuff. But the thing is, Brian Flores knows what Bill Belichick likes to do. He knows how he kind of likes to attack rookie quarterbacks and all that because he's been his D coordinator. So again, I think Flores, the familiarity, it's going to be a little bit disadvantage for the Patriots and Bill, but I think they find a way to keep it low scoring. If their defense can get a pick six, if their special teams can block a punt or something, the Patriots definitely can win this game. But I don't see it really happening with our offense. Again, I'm ready for Jarrett Stidham, or I'm ready for Julian Edelman to play Wildcat quarterback. But I think the Dolphins will find a way to win this game 17-13. Especially too because the Patriots too, usually in Miami, it's always a trap game. It's usually one of those games. They don't usually win most of the time the last few years. So for also that standpoint, I'll take the Dolphins 17-13.
Yeah, and you said you've talked about them not playing well in Miami, and they really haven't. I mean, we all remember the game in 2015 where Belichick threw the ball 4 times in the first half. We obviously remember the Miami Miracle. That was crazy. I think they lost them in 2017. They lost them in 2013. The Belichick has a lot of trouble down in Miami, even with Brady. I think he's going to continue to have trouble with Cam Newton. And speaking of Cam Newton, I wrote an article. They have to bench him at this point. I mean, I'm not saying the guy's Newton's had a terrible year. He's been average this year. He's had his good games against the Texans, against the Ravens, against the Seahawks, against the Dolphins the first time. But he's also looked horrible, like he did last week against the Rams, like he did against the 49ers, and even in their win over the Cardinals and against the Broncos. So I would say at this point the Patriots, yes, I know they still have an outside shot at the playoffs, but with 3 games left, they got to see what they have with Jarrett Stidham to see what direction they're going in the draft, because now you're in a division now with Josh Allen and Tua. You got to know what direction you're going into the quarterback position, or you're going to be living in third place for a while.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think it's definitely time. I think we don't know he's got the shoulder surgery, and again his mechanics are always wonky. So I think it's a combination of both that right now, because you just so I think it's a shoulder bothering, but definitely I don't think Stidham's our future quarterback, but again maybe there's a spark, and if he somehow plays the next 3 weeks, he looks really good, and maybe there is a future for him. But I don't see that happening. But you'll never know until you actually see him perform on the field, and hopefully, they make the move, because it's a slim shot for the playoffs. But again, I don't, we beat the Jets week 17, but again, these next 2 against Miami and Buffalo are really up in the air. I don't feel confident about either one right now. So I'm kind of at the point, just where's Stidham? Thanks Cam for coming in. Look good for a few weeks, but he's just not healthy, and you can kind of tell. I think the shoulder's just been bugging him all year.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like obviously we know Cam's not the future. It's not like Stidham's the future, but at this point, if he plays great, I mean, they're not going to start him this week. But if he played great for the last 3 games, you never know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly why I'd rather see him at this point than a Cam, just to move into the future at least and just see what you have in him. Again, remember, because going in the mock draft that year for Stidham, people had him in the top 5. So people thought he had talent. And I know we haven't seen it, but again, there's a chance that we could see it. I don't think we'll be able to see it, but you never know until he gets that chance. And I'm hoping if it's not this week, it'll be the last 2 games that they'll just let Jarrett go out there and see what he's got.
We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening there. But we're going to go from Tom Brady's old team to his current team. That's the Buccaneers, who were coming off a win last week over the Vikings, and they got back on track. Even though the Vikings moved the ball well against them, Dan Bailey had a terrible day kicking field goals. That's another story. But we got obviously an NFC South matchup in Atlanta. I got the Bucs winning this game 27-13. Here's why. I think this Bucs run defense shuts down Todd Gurley and forces Ryan to be one-dimensional and forces a turnover for Matt Ryan. And I also think that Brady, yes, they might struggle to run the ball a little bit, but I think Brady gets back on track against Atlanta secondary, gets the ball to Mike Evans, gets it to Scotty Miller, gets the ball to Chris Godwin. And I do think the Bucs move the ball pretty well. And I got the Bucs win it. I got to win it by 2 scores. But, Justin, can Matt Ryan, he struggled last week, but can he keep up with Tom Brady and this Bucs offense?
I think there's a chance. I have Atlanta keeping this close 28-23. I think they could put up some points against this weak Falcons secondary. Yeah, they cannot. The Falcons can't really run the ball well. The Bucs are great at stopping the run. So yeah, it makes them one-dimensional. But again, I think Atlanta could force a turnover too as well against Brady, and again get some starting good field position here and be able to score a touchdown or even a field goal. I think they can keep it close, and I think they'll be able to. I think Ryan could have a big day. I know he struggled last week. Did not look great against a weak Chargers defense. But I think he comes back home. They're in the dome, so he usually plays well at home. So I think they put up some points, but yeah, I don't think it's enough to beat Tom Brady and the Bucs.
Got an old school NFC matchup with the Niners and the Cowboys, and I think both fans wish it was 1993 because neither of these teams are good this year. Obviously, the defending NFC champions were been ravaged by injuries. The 49ers are 5-8. The Cowboys also been ravaged with injuries. They're right now 4-9. But for this game, I got the Niners just because I love their run game against the Cowboys' run defense. Justin, who do you got?
Yeah, I got the Niners going to Jerry's World game to win 23-17. I think they do enough even with all the injuries.
AFC South matchup in Indianapolis, and this is the second time in 3 weeks these teams will face with each other, as we got the Texans traveling to Indy to face the Colts. And I got the Colts winning this game big, and I got them winning at 31-13. I think this Houston team has quit. I think they've quit on Romeo Cornell. I think this Houston team is a total mess, as you saw last week, as the Bears, Mitch Trubisky and the Bears beat them 36-7. I think that, Jonathan Taylor has another big game on the ground. I think Phillip Rivers has another big game through the air. And I think that, Indy's D-line with DeForest Buckner and Justin Houston is all over Deshaun Watson. I feel bad for Deshaun Watson because he's in a terrible situation this year, and I got the Colts winning big. But speaking of Deshaun Watson, Justin, can he do enough this week to carry his team to a very unlikely victory?
I think they keep it close. I have it 30-24. I think, I do worry about the line, that offensive line for the Texans. Yeah, they looked awful last week in a lackluster effort in Chicago. I think, I feel bad for Watson. He got absolutely, destroyed out there last week. I think they do bring some effort. I think they do find a way to score some points against this Colts defense, which I know is getting somewhat healthier. I think Darius Leonard is still questionable for this week, which, again, if he doesn't play, I think that definitely helps out the Texans a bit here. Again, he's got no weapons, Deshaun Watson, but I think they do find a way to score some points on the road in the dome. I think they do play better. But again, I just don't think they're going to be able to stop the Colts offense right now. They're playing really well. I know it's been some weak defenses, but as long as Phillip doesn't turn the ball over, the Colts will win this game.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we got an AFC matchup in Baltimore as the Jaguars travel up to Baltimore to face the Ravens, and I think the Ravens continue to roll and win their third in a row. I got the Ravens winning this one big, 31-10, assuming you agree with me, Justin.
Oh yeah, I got the Ravens 27-10. They'll take care of business this week in Jacksonville.
Got a big NFC North matchup in Minnesota as the 6-7 Bears travel to Minnesota to face the 6-7 Vikings. I got the Vikings winning this one 31-27, and here's why. I think they're going to do it on the ground game with Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook's going to have a big game on the ground. He didn't have a great game on the ground the first time they played, but I think he has a big game on the ground this time. I think Kirk Cousins is a pretty good game through the air, too. I think he just throws a couple touchdown passes, one to Adam Thielen and a couple to Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson has a big game receiving. And for the Bears, I do think Mitch Trubisky makes plays. Like, he's played well the last couple of weeks. I think he continues to play well against this Vikings defense. I think Trubisky, the Bears move the ball. Trubisky has a big game. Allen Robinson has a big game. But I'm going to take the better coach team and the better quarterback in a close one. And that's why I got the Vikings. But Justin, Trubisky's played well the last couple of weeks. Can he continue this and keep the Bears' playoff hopes alive?
He plays well. I don't know if they'll be able to do a lot. I got the Vikings win this one 24-21. Remember that Monday night game? The Bears offense could not do anything. I think they had like 150 total yards of offense or something like that. The running game's really helped out, and I think it's really helped out Mitch Trubisky. If they can kind of do that against a weak Vikings defense, I think they definitely could win this game. I think Cousins and Dalvin Cook do a little bit too much though for the Vikings, and they're not gonna be able to score enough. But I would not shock me to see the Bears pull another one out because of the way Trubisky's playing. The Bears defense looked really, really good last week as well. But I'll take the Vikings right now, 24-21.
Got an interconference matchup down in Tennessee as the Lions take on the Titans. And I got the Titans win this one big, 31-13. A big reason is I don't think Matthew Stafford's going to play. And I think Chase Daniel's going to struggle. I think that Derrick Henry's going to have a big game on the ground. A.J. Brown's going to have a big day through the air. Ryan Tannehill's going to have a couple touchdown passes. And for the Lions, I feel like even though the Titans defense isn't that good, Chase Daniel's going to have a lot of problems. He might have an interception or another turnover. And I got the Titans winning this game big. But Justin, Matthew Stafford's played well the last couple weeks. We don't know if he's going to play this week though. But if he does, can he play it well enough to lead the Lions to an upset win?
I think there's a possibility. If he does play, I have the score 31-27 Titans. If not, I'll go like 31-17, something like that. Against a very weak Titans defense, yeah, I definitely think they can. We got T.J. Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift's been good as well. Since coming back from the concussion. If they all play, I think the Lions can keep up with this Titans team, but can the Titans make enough? Can the Lions make enough stops? Can they slow down Derrick Henry? I don't think they're going to be able to do that, but I definitely think the Lions, because of their offense, they have a lot of weapons. They could be very explosive. Definitely think they could put up enough points. I just don't think they're going to be able to stop the Titans, and I'll take the Titans 31-27 if Stafford plays. I think they do keep it close though.
We got the CMG game of the week between the Chiefs and the Saints, 4:25 on Sunday in New Orleans. And it looks like Drew Brees isn't going to play, so the Saints are going to go with Taysom Hill. I got the Chiefs winning at 27-20, and here's why. I think the Saints do a good job stopping the run game. The Chiefs struggle to run the ball, but I do think Mahomes has a big day, obviously another big day through the air with getting the ball to Tyreek Hill, getting the ball to Travis Kelce, getting the ball to Edwards-Helaire out in the flat. I think they move the ball. I do think that the Saints do move the ball a little bit too. The only issue is I don't think Alvin Kamara is going to have as good of a game because Alvin Kamara just hasn't played as well when Taysom Hill has been the quarterback. So I don't think he plays as good of a game. But I do think this is a close competitive game. The Saints get pressure on Mahomes to try to contain that offense. Taysom Hill, I think, move the ball on this Chiefs defense. I think it's close and competitive. But at the end, we all know what happens in a Chiefs game. They always win. And I got the Chiefs winning this one close. But the big question is, Justin, can the Saints defense force a few turnovers like the Dolphins did last week and keep their hopes for the number 1 seed alive?
I think there's a possibility at home. I get the Chiefs winning though, 28-24. I definitely think the Saints could definitely keep this interesting. I know they looked pretty bad last week against the Eagles. Um, Again, if you can get forced some turnovers, especially when they kind of have the Chiefs against the back of their own walls there. But you gotta capitalize off turnovers though. Um, Dolphins didn't do that great, but if you can score off of a turnover, um, I think the Saints definitely have a chance to win. But again, if Mahomes has the ball in the final possession of the game, there's just no way the Chiefs are losing that game. And I think that's gonna happen this one. But it would not shock me to see the New Orleans Saints keep this in close. But I'll take the Chiefs 2024. You just cannot bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely never bet against Mahomes. We got a lopsided game in LA this week as the Jets travel to LA to face the Rams, and this should be an easy Rams win. I got the Rams winning 34-26. Sorry about that. 34-6. Justin, who do you got?
Yeah, I got the Rams 28-6. Poor Jets.
We got the Monday night game. It is a division game and an AFC North battle, but I still think that this is a get-right game for the Steelers. The Bengals off. We don't know who's going to start a quarterback for the Bengals. Their offense is absolutely terrible with Ryan Finley or Brendan Allen, and I think that the Steelers win this one big. I got the Steelers beating the Bengals 31-7. Justin, who do you got?
Yeah, I got the Steelers 24-7. One of these doctor kind of order games here to get the Steelers straight.
We're going to shift over to the NBA, but before that, here's a promo from one of CMG Sports' newest podcasts, the 3 Point Podcast.
What's up, Clovercrest Nation? It's Lucas Bolduc here, and I'm here to tell you about my new show coming to the Clovercrest Media Group. The podcast is called the 3 Point Podcast, and we'll take a deep dive into the top NBA stories for the week. Whether it's big trade news, an NBA star has a big game, or just a big game we're looking forward to for that week. We'll take you there, and we'll just have you follow the Clovercrest Media Group Facebook page for more information coming about the show. But we're so excited to bring you this new NBA show, and we're just looking forward to a great NBA season.
Thank you, Lucas. And yes, the 3 Point Podcast, I'm pretty sure that's going to be starting up next week. Definitely excited for that. I'll definitely listen to that. And the biggest story of the day, though, came out of the NBA, and that's Giannis signing his $228 million extension with the Bucks. And for me, I was kind of surprised because I felt like, Giannis going into his free agency year, the Bucks really haven't improved the team much around him in the offseason. I thought he wouldn't sign this offseason. I thought he'd maybe wait till next offseason, test free agency, see what's out there. He signed yesterday, 5 years, $228 million. Just an outstanding player, a player that's came a long way. This is a guy back in 2013, 2014 that was averaging 6 points a game. Now he's averaging almost 30 points a game. He won MVP this year, second straight MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. The guy's clearly a top 5 player in the game, arguably top 3 or even the best player in the game. The thing I think that's holding him back from being the best player game has been the playoffs. He's not made an NBA Finals appearance yet, but to be fair, last year he got hurt in that series against the Heat. But huge day for Giannis, a huge day for the Bucks. They got their cornerstone, they got their franchise player locked up for the next 5 years. There's an opt-out of 4 years, but they got their guy locked up for the next 5 years.
Yeah, they do. Again, I think it's great for the sport too that he stays in Milwaukee. A smaller market team than these LAs and the Miami, Boston, New York. So it's great that he's staying in Milwaukee. And I know, they didn't do a ton, but I know they tried the Bogdanovic sign and trade kind of fell apart, and all that. So I think he kind of liked that they showed that they're trying to do all they can for him. It kind of seems like a guy too. He seems like a loyal guy that really wants to bring a championship to Milwaukee. Hopefully he can do that. I think he will be able to do that before his contract's over. But yeah, just a great story from a guy. Really, when he started, late lottery pick, kind of really not got kind of was a bench guy, and then all of a sudden, now he's an MVP. But it's I think it's really good too for the sport, and for the NBA that they were able to keep him. I think in a smaller market because now it keeps Milwaukee fans really invested now instead of him walking out and going somewhere else.
Absolutely. I mean, it's up to get a great team around him, get him another elite player around him. Because if you look at there right now, you got Drew Holiday. He's, I think, an upgrade when he plays with Eric Bledsoe. He has trouble staying healthy. Vincenzo, Chris Middleton. Here's my thing with Chris Middleton. He was an all-star, but he's a fans all-star. There's no all-star in the West. I think he's a true two. He's more of a he's more of a third option on a championship team. I don't think he's a second. I don't think Middleton is a championship team. And you got Brooke Lopez at center. So what they need is they need a true number two or Giannis, and they got 4 years to do it. Better do it because Bucks get to an NBA with this. That's on their That's completely on their organization. You have to championship with a player like this. There's no way it can happen.
Yeah. I definitely, with a guy this talented and you cannot help him get to one NBA Finals, would really be shameful on your organization. I don't know how much more cap they have left for next offseason. I don't know what all that is, where they're at, because I was surprised that Bogdan, again, I know Bogdanovich wouldn't have been like a number 2, but he would have been a really good spot-up shooter for Milwaukee, helped them out, probably would have took some pressure off of Giannis. But definitely, I think they definitely need another guy to come help out Giannis. Because, again, this East isn't what it was, again, like a year or two ago. The Nets have some talent. Boston always has talent. Toronto kept VanVleet. Miami's always up there. So, it's not going to be easy road. So, he's definitely going to need some help. But, again, he's, I'm rooting for him to hopefully get at least one for Milwaukee, because he's an all-world talent. He's definitely a top guy right now in the NBA.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest stories for tomorrow, from what happened yesterday, is this might be a culture change in the NBA. This might be a kind of a changing of the guard where stars don't get back to maybe how it was in the old days with Duncan, with Kobe Bryant, or even back into the 90s with Michael Jordan, with Akeem Olajuwon, with Karl Malone, where guys didn't leave their teams. Like LeBron kind of started a culture where, all right, if you're unhappy, you leave your team. Like with the decision, you saw LeBron leave his team. We've seen Kevin Durant leave his team. We've seen Anthony Davis leave his team. We've seen Kawhi Leonard leave his team. That's 4 superstars who've left their teams and who played on multiple teams. Which you don't see enough of the Tim Duncans and the Kobe Bryants anymore. Yeah, there's a rare example with Steph Curry, but you don't see elite players anymore sticking with their teams throughout their entire career. You got a chance to see this now. You have a chance to maybe see this with Giannis, especially if they could win a championship if they can win a championship within the next 5 years.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I think it would definitely help out the NBA. If not, and I know De'Aaron Fox is an elite player, but I always thought he was going to walk out and leave Sacramento. But he signed a few weeks ago, and I always thought he was going to leave. So I just bought his jersey now because now.
Yeah, yes. I get Kobe was originally with the Hornets, but come on, that was on draft night. He was ended up being traded to the Lakers and played his entire career with the Lakers. So my point is that Kobe pretty much played his whole career with the Lakers. So yeah, Kobe was originally on the Hornets. I get that, but come on now, okay? Kobe was a Laker. Stop with that. Yes, he was traded on draft night to the Lakers. So stop with that. Come on now.
Yeah, he was always a Laker, but so yeah, I definitely think that it would help the sport, the NBA, because I think some of the issues is building these super teams, and for some of these small markets that can't compete, it's kind of your team's not going to be in it, so why bother, So I definitely think it would help if these small market teams who are up here in the lottery get a first, a top 5, top 10 pick, and are able to keep them for the next 10, 15 years instead of them wanting out after 3 years before a contract extension. I think it would definitely help out the sport, even ratings wise. It definitely help out because I think you get more eyeballs on the game.
Yeah, ratings wise, I think they'll watch stars regardless if they stay with their team or not. But it is it is nice to see what we saw yesterday. You see what you saw with obviously Dirk, Duncan, Kobe, guys that stay with their teams, and we don't see it enough even in all the sports. If the team's not doing well, guys want out, and I understand that because if management's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I can understand their frustration. But yesterday was an example of something we don't see often in sports anymore. A guy who decides to stay with his team.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of it's been a turn on for me in the NBA. Is kind of all this guys want out. Organizations. I understand if there's a lot of turmoil. There's just things aren't going right. Okay, I get it, but just for the losing part, I don't know. I've always kind of been against that. But yeah, it's definitely great. I guess even for a guy like me, being a Kings fan, it's great to kind of see De'Aaron Fox still be here, and it kind of feels like, okay, we could build something around him.
Yeah, like it's kind of like how your Kings teams were built in the early 2000s with Chris Webber, with Vlade Divac, with Peja Stojakovic, with Mike Bibby. It's how they were built in the early 2000s. You just didn't people just hopping off, getting out and leaving teams every 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know we haven't been great drafting wise the last few years, so we haven't had the talent to build, but yeah, definitely, like again, that could definitely happen. You hit on 2-3 picks. There you go. You can kind of build maybe not a powerhouse or elite team, but you could build a playoff team that can sneak in the playoffs every year, maybe win a series or two. And I think it would be great, and I think it would would turn back the NBA to like the 90s and 80s, what you're saying, where guys don't leave, they stay in one place, and I think it would help out the sport much more. It would definitely help out the NBA.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with Giannis. I mean, I'm happy he's returned to the Bucks. I personally felt like he would test free agency, but he proved me wrong and signed yesterday. I thought he was going to take it all the way to that deadline, that December 22nd deadline, but he ended up signing with the Bucks, and he's going to be there now for at least the next 4 years. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the East, to see with the Nets, with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and with the Celtics with Jason Tatum, with the Heat and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo and what Pat Riley's done there. So it's an interesting Eastern Conference, and say James Harden ends up getting traded to the Sixers. Then you got five teams right there that could definitely win the Eastern Conference.
Oh yeah, definitely. This East isn't what it was a few years ago, where it was kind of one team runs the show. It's definitely really spread out. There's definitely James Harden goes to Philly. There's definitely 5 contenders in this conference, and it's not it's definitely gonna be a lot tougher to get through. And it's still not as big as a gauntlet as it will to get out of the Western Conference, but it's gonna be pretty tough. Obviously, it's tough every year, but it gets a little bit tougher now when you do have potentially 5 teams that can make an NBA championship and are gonna give you tough outs in the night in night out.
Absolutely. And it should be fun to see what Giannis ends up doing with the Bucks. But we got to talk about college football and the rankings that came out yesterday. And listen, top 3, I think everyone's fine with. Alabama 1, Notre Dame 2, Clemson 3. You get to 4 through 9, there's a lot of controversy. I know a lot of people don't think Ohio State should be number 4 because of the amount of games they played. You look at Texas A&M, they're at number 5, but they really have no shot at winning a conference title. Iowa State, to me, it makes no sense that they're number 6, being a 2-loss team. I don't care how well they play throughout the season. They're a 2-loss team. Florida, you look at them as a 2-loss team. There's no way Florida should be in the top 10. Georgia, I don't think they should be that high. I think Cincinnati should definitely be ahead of all 3 of those teams. Iowa State, Florida, and Georgia. There's no way Cincinnati should be at number 9. I don't care about their schedule. As Justin and Jace, they watch a ton of college football. They know how good Cincinnati is, and it just shows you that it just shows you that the committee's not watching college football. They're not watching college football at all, and to put Cincinnati at 9, it makes no sense at all, Justin.
Oh, it doesn't. Think about it. Even if there was 8-team playoff, Cincinnati would still be out. Like, you would have 3 2-loss teams over undefeated Cincinnati. Like, it's just why do we even have a committee? Like, if they're gonna announce the top 4 team that they want before the season begins, like it makes no sense. It's a complete joke. And then, okay, so you push back Cincinnati because they didn't play a game. Ohio State didn't either. You know, again, Cincinnati played 8-9 games, and Ohio. No disrespect to Ohio State, they're a good team, but they played 5 games. Come on, it's a complete joke. You know, Florida, a 24-point home favorite at home to an LSU team that already lost Jamar Chase, already lost Terrence Marshall, already lost their top tight end Eric Gilbert, and they go in there and beat Florida, and they go down 1 spot, just 1. Florida looked awful. It is so SEC biased as well. It's a complete joke, and again, it's sad. It stinks for the sport, and it's a mockery. That you know, there will never be a Group of 5 team that will ever make the top 4 in the playoffs. And again, I think it would help out the sport if they would ever do it. But again, they're too clueless. This guy just, you know, Gary Barta just makes excuses. It's a complete joke that they just disrespect the Group of 5 like this. Again, I would say it's a good team. You know, Florida. I'm not trying to say Florida, Georgia, and Florida are not good teams. They are. But again, Cincinnati is better than all of them. Cincinnati, I think, would be all 3 of those teams ahead of them. It's an absolute joke. An absolute joke.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, there's no way that Cincinnati should be at 9 right now, and Florida should be at 7. Florida being at 7 is awful. Seeing that they lost to LSU, that just makes no sense at all. And talking about one of the comments, all 4 downs tonight, 7:30. Big J is going to be going. He definitely is going to be going ballistic over the ratings because these rankings make no sense at all. Especially a 6 through 9. 6 through 9 make absolutely no sense. I could take the top 5. 6 through 9 make absolutely no sense at all.
No, you're completely right. All 3 of those teams have 2 losses. You know, again, think about this too. Florida could lose this week and have 3 losses, but still get an at-large bid to play in year 6. They could knock out either Cincy or Tulsa, you know, whatever, you know, if Cincy and Tulsa both win, I mean, Cincy and Coastal may not even get a New 6. They may put Florida ahead of Coastal. Who knows, you know, who knows? It is a complete joke. You know, I just don't get it, you know. Just 3 2-loss teams in the top 10. Again, you know, I know they say they haven't played Cincinnati. They haven't seen them together. Then watch before November, whatever week you started. Watch before. Why does it just have to be from week whatever 12 or 13 when they started? Why can't it be 1 from 12? Again, these excuses are just I don't know. Cincinnati's a really, really talented team. It doesn't, you know, even if you don't sit and watch them with all 13 committee members, you can still. I don't know how you say they're number 9 in the country. It is. It's just. I hate it. You know, I'm tired. I'd rather just go back in computers at this point.
Back to the BCS.
Computers. Yeah.
Go back to the BCS.
Go back to the BCS method.
Yeah.
I rather would. They may give more respect. They'd probably give more respect to Cincinnati and Coastal. Coastal's the only team in the country that has 11 wins.
Yeah, but I don't think Coastal should be ahead. I mean, a lot of people are saying yesterday Coastal should be ahead of Cincy because of their wins over BYU and Louisiana. I don't think they should be because of the conference they're in, the Big South. The AAC is better than the Big South. And last week against Troy, they barely beat Troy last week. So I don't think Coastal should be ahead of Cincinnati. But I definitely could see them maybe even being ahead, maybe Florida or Georgia, but not ahead of Cincinnati in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, you know, mine I would like Cincy at 5, Texas A&M 6, and then I would like Coastal be in that 7 or 8 range right there. I'd be fine with Coastal either being 7, 8, or 9. That's where they should be. They should still be in the top 10. They beat a Louisiana Lafayette team who they're playing this week is number 19 in the country. They beat BYU. I don't care if it was on a short week for BYU. They still beat them when everybody, including myself, thought BYU was going to blow them out. They still won that game. You know, them sitting at 12 is just, again, I don't even know where to begin. I just don't know where to, go. I don't know how to agree with the committee and how they put them, Florida, Georgia, and Iowa State ahead of them. I just don't understand. I really don't. I
No,
don't know how to defend the committee, and I don't want to.
no, not at all, not at all. It's just it's bad. It's bad. They're not watching football, and it's kind of embarrassing the way they've disrespected non-power five schools.
Yeah,
It,
it is. It
it's
really is.
awful. But we got to get to the games this week. We're going to start with the Pac-12 championship game Friday night as Oregon takes on USC. And I think this is a fun, high-scoring game. But I think it's going to be the way USC has pulled games out all year. I got USC win one really, really close over Oregon. But Justin, Oregon end USC's undefeated season.
Um, Again, there's that chance. As again, we saw USC kind of woke up late third quarter, fourth quarter, and really came back and found a way to win. Oregon, I just for them, it's kind of been their defense been disappointment. I thought their defense would be really, really good this year, but they've kind of been middle of the road. We saw Jamar Jefferson absolutely run all over the Ducks a few weeks ago on Black Friday. They haven't played last few weeks. They looked all, defensive act, played really good. I felt like against College, which is their offense didn't get going. They could put a full game together. I think they'll definitely be able to, but I'm gonna take the Trojans though, 34-28. I think they find a way to pull it out. I do like how Tyler Shaw was playing for the Ducks. He's really fit in, but I think the Trojans do find a way to win this week.
Big Ten championship game. We got Ohio State against Northwestern. And for this game, I do think Northwestern's defense might keep them in it early, but I think eventually Justin Fields is going to take over, and he's going to put up at least 28 to 30 points. And Peyton Ramsey, to me, is not going to be able to keep up in this game. And I have Ohio State winning the Big Ten by 2 scores. But, Justin, we know Northwestern's defense is good. It gives up 14 points a game. Can they contain Justin Fields, and can Peyton Ramsey do enough for the Wildcats to pull the upset?
Maybe for 30 minutes. I don't know for 60. I get the Buckeyes 41-20. I think it's going to be something like 2018. It was like 45-24, the Big Ten championship game, Ohio State. It was like Northwestern, if I remember, hung in there for a little bit. They just didn't have enough. I think that's going to be the same this week. The one thing, that I think Northwestern needs is to put pressure on Fields and make him force some interceptions, as we saw that Indiana game. He made some questionable decisions under pressure. Again, Patty Fisher and Blake Gallagher, the two big linebackers for Northwestern. If they can be game records, they definitely have a shot. But yeah, their offense, I just won't be able to compete with Ohio State's offense. They just lack that explosiveness that Indiana has on the offensive side that kept Indiana in that game. Northwestern doesn't really have that. And I think the Buckeyes, after 30 minutes, will pull away from the Wildcats.
Big 12 championship game as we got Spencer Rattler and the Sooners, who are playing really well against Brock Prudy and the Cyclones. And I think this is going to be a really, really close competitive game, high-scoring game. I think Prudy has a big game. I think Hall has a big game on the ground. I think Rattler has a big game through the air. And I think the maturity of Spencer Rattler is going to be the difference in this game. And I'll take Lincoln Riley over Matt Campbell. And I got Oklahoma winning this one in a close, high-scoring game. But, Justin, can Prudy and Hall keep up with Rattler to pull off a sweep of Oklahoma and win the Big 12?
I think there's a good chance. I think there's definitely that possibility of them doing it. I do have the Sooners winning this one 35-28. Again, for Oklahoma, I know they have 2 losses, but I think they're more of a complete team than we've seen the last few years because of the way they play up front. Their defensive line, their offensive line, I think, are a lot more physical than those last teams a few years ago. The beginning of the season, I know with the 2 losses, again, just kind of getting going. They had a lot of new pieces on both sides of the ball, including going to Spencer Rattler at quarterback. So I think, would not shock me to see Iowa State keep this thing close. I really like Matt Campbell. He's done a heck of a job at Iowa State. They're going for their first conference title since 1912. I love Brock Purdy and Brace Hall. And the first time I think Hall had like 137 yards, I believe. He ran well last time against them. They picked off Rattler late in the end zone. I just don't think I like the way Oklahoma's playing. They're playing a lot better. I know that it's been like Baylor, Kansas, but again, they smoked Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma finds a way to win their 6th straight Big 12 title.
And looking at Sebastian too, he says he likes Iowa State +7. Yeah, I mean, you definitely would like to take Ohio. I would definitely take Iowa State in the points too, but I do think Oklahoma wins it close.
Yeah, I'd probably take Iowa State. I know my thing's right at 7. I'd probably take Iowa State with the points. I love Matt Campbell as a coach. Yeah, Lincoln Riley's been really, really good too, but Matt Campbell's definitely really built this program. He's gonna have these guys fired up, ready to go. Would not shock me to see the Cyclones even win this game.
The one game with meaning that is not a conference title game is we have the Aggies traveling to Tennessee to face the Vols. And I think the Aggies win this game big with Isaiah Spiller and Kellen Mond. They have big days. I got the Aggies winning it by 2 or 3 scores. But, Justin, can the Vols in their final home game pull off the upset?
That's not happening. I got the Aggies 31-14. The one thing Tennessee does well in offense is be able to run the football. They like to use Eric Gray. He's been a solid back this year. Kind of build off of play action. But Texas A&M's one of the best run-stopping teams in the country. They're not going to be able to do any of that. I got the Aggies like 31-13. Tennessee's played 4 quarterbacks. I think it's going to be Harrison Bailey, the freshman's going to be starting this game. Tough spot for him to, facing a really, really good Texas A&M defense. And then for the Aggies, Isaiah Spiller's 10-0 when he rushed over 100 games. I think he'll be able to do that. Again, I think Pruitt will be back next year for any ball fans out there. I personally believe he'll be back for another year. But I think the Aggies are too much. I like the way I know that, I think they're playing better. I like the way they played that 4th quarter against Auburn. They'll find a way. They'll go on the road and win by a couple scores.
We got the Sun Belt Conference Championship game between Louisiana and Coastal Carolina. And I think this is going to be another fun, high-scoring game, but I know Louisiana beat Iowa State early in the season, but Coastal did beat them during the year. And I think Coastal does it again. I think that Coastal, Grayson McCall is a big game, and in another close, high-scoring game, I got Coastal beating Louisiana. But, Justin, can Louisiana's offense keep up with Grayson McCall and win the Sun Belt Conference?
I am actually going to go against the Chanticleers this week.
Ooh.
I got the Raging Cajun.
You didn't like what you saw last week against Troy.
No, I didn't. But again, I think that was a big letdown spot. Just coming off the emotional win at BYU. I definitely thought there was a shot they're going to lose last week. But I like this Raging Cajun team. Billy Napier, I can't believe this guy hasn't gotten a Power 5 job yet. This guy has done an incredible job with the Raging Cajun. And the first meeting, they missed their second leading tackle, Frederick Gardner, the linebacker. And Coastal kind of had the dominated time of possession. They had the ball for over 38 minutes. It's tough because both these teams are really, really good. It's tough to beat a team twice, I feel like, in college football when you're evenly matched like this. It's such a close game last time. And I really like the back from Lafayette and Elijah Mitchell. I definitely think he's a guy that could be a third round or could go in the 3rd day in the NFL draft.
As Jay said, Troy was a sandwich spot for Coastal, let down after BYU, and they were looking ahead to the championship game. Yes, I get that. That's why, but I still don't think that Coastal is as good as Cincinnati because you can't almost lose to Troy and consider yourself a team that's going to make the college football playoff, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I definitely think they should be, higher up than 12th though. 12, I think they definitely should crack the top 10 and be at 7, 8, or 9. But yeah, they shouldn't be ahead of Cincinnati, yes, because that Troy game, they beat Lafayette though.
And our man Sebastian agrees with you. He likes Louisiana.
Yeah, good. Because I just see too with everybody loving Coastal again. Billy Napier's done such a great job with his team down the Sun Belt all these years. I see his team ready, and they'll get the revenge win. I really do like the team as long as they can get off the field in third down. Because I think they're giving up like 46% of the time. Coastal's like 55% on third down. Get off the field for Louisiana, they'll win this game.
Got the big game, probably the game of the day, as we got a rematch of a game in November as Clemson faces Notre Dame in the ACC title game. And I think this is a fun game. I think it's going to be just like the game, very similar to the game that was played in November. I think it's a high-scoring game. I think it's a fun game. I think Notre Dame runs the ball well. I think Ian Book has a good game through the air and on the ground. So I think Notre Dame puts up points. But I think I know Notre Dame's defense is good. But Trevor Lawrence is really good. He's great, and I think Trevor Lawrence is a big game for Clemson. I think this is a close, competitive, high-scoring game that comes down to the end with the ball in Trevor Lawrence's hands, and I think he wins the game for Clemson. And I got Clemson getting into the college football playoff and beating Notre Dame in a close one. But Justin, can Ian Book keep up with Lawrence and knock Clemson out of the playoffs for the first time since 2014?
Yeah. There's definitely a good possibility, and I would love to see it. I'm rooting for
You're not a Dabo guy.
No, I am not a Dabo guy. But I got Clemson's holding on 35-31. Again, the first meeting too, Clemson missing 3 or 4 defensive starters. It's in their top guy, Tyler Davis, was out. Their D tackle was kind of their top guy. They missed like 2 or 3 other starters in that game. Again, this is the Notre Dame team built differently.
Jared, don't judge Ian Book by his cover. Nice one, Jared. That's a funny one. There, yeah.
Yeah, and Book's been getting better. I feel like every week. He's not gonna be a guy that's gonna throw for 400 yards, but they don't need him to. He's a guy that does enough on third down. If he needs to run and find a way to get the first down, he'll pick up the first down. He's a really, really good game. He's been a really, really good quarterback this year. Again, he's not going to win the Heisman, but he's sitting up there. I definitely have him, my top 5. Again, I just think now with Trevor Lawrence, DJ Aluwagu, I cannot pronounce his name, threw for over 440 yards. 440
He's going to be a stud, though. He comes in next year. He's going to be a stud. He'll probably be the first-round pick in 2 or 3 years. He'll be the number 1 overall pick.
Oh, he definitely will. With his size, too, at 6'5" or whatever. He's a really, really good quarterback, and then he comes in Notre Dame, lights him up. Now you get Lawrence. I think it's definitely going to be a tough one for Notre Dame to win. And then also Notre Dame's defense coordinator, Clark Lee, did just take the Vanderbilt job earlier in the week. He will be part of the Notre Dame staff until their season's over. But again, now he's working 2 jobs, like signing days today. So now he's, again, he's got so much going on right now, too. He's done a great job. Again, that North Carolina game, they had 150 yards. North Carolina did in the first quarter. Then last 3 quarters, they had 148 total yards. To slow down that offense, he does a great job making adjustments. But I'm going to take the Clemson Tigers to pull it out 35-31.
Yeah, I just think it's just so hard to bet against Trevor Lawrence. It's just, this would only be his 2nd loss in 3 years. Just like you don't bet against Mahomes. Outside of him playing the LSU game, you don't bet against Trevor Lawrence. That's why it'll be tough if he plays Alabama in the national title game. That'll be a tough one. But Lawrence, yes, he won't win the Heisman Trophy because unfortunately he missed 2 games because of COVID. But I still think he's the best quarterback in the country, and that's why I got Clemson. But another question, another Jared comment. Tar heals all wounds. Yeah, that's a nice one there. And definitely, and by the way, check Jared out on Throwing Jabs. Him, Jason, Joe, great podcast every Saturday morning. Definitely check out that podcast too. That's another great CMG podcast there. But yeah, I mean, I think I just don't bet. I'm just not going to bet against Trevor Lawrence here. But here's the big question though. We both got Clemson winning it. But say that happens, and Notre Dame has 1 loss. Do they still get in the college football playoff?
Notre Dame, yeah, I definitely think Notre Dame would. The interesting part would be if Ohio State wins, everything else goes as well as it should. Do they put them ahead of Ohio? Do we see the trilogy in the semifinals, or do they push them to the 4 seed? I think it's the bigger question. I definitely think they will. I think their body of work has definitely shown that they're a top 4 team. As long as they don't lose this game 80-0, they'll be in. And I don't see that happening. long as they take care of business, keep this thing close, they definitely have punch their ticket in the Final Four.
Yeah, I agree with Jared. He
10.5,
said
yeah.
Jared's yes. I think you said yeah. I agree. I think that Notre Dame should be in, and Jace just said you don't bet against Clemson, but what about the 10.5? I absolutely think Notre Dame can cover. Yes, I think Notre Dame can cover, but I just don't think Notre Dame's going to. I think it's going to be close, but I don't think Notre Dame's going to win the game. I think it's going to be Clemson winning the game close and getting into the playoff for the 6th year in a row.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take Notre Dame with the points. Even though that line scares me how big it is, it does scare me. But it just because I didn't think it would be that big. But definitely, I'm definitely taking Notre Dame. They should keep this thing closer than 10.5 points.
We got the AAC title game. One of my dad's best friends is the assistant commissioner of the American Conference. Hopefully, his Bearcats can get in. But we got Tulsa heading to Cincinnati. We got Tulsa playing. Are they playing at Cincinnati, Justin?
Yes.
Or is it? It's at Cincinnati. So Tulsa plays Cincinnati in the AAC championship game. And Jason's been saying it all year that Cincinnati's a really good team, and I'm buying it. I think that Cincinnati. Their defense plays really well. I think they contain Tulsa. Because I remember I watched Tulsa against Oklahoma State this year, and their offense didn't do that much. And I think Cincy's defense is better than Oklahoma State's defense. So I think it's the same thing. I think Desmond Ritter does enough. And I got Cincinnati finishing their season undefeated and winning the game by 2 scores. But here's the question, Justin: can Tulsa and Cincinnati's playoff chances?
I would, I thought maybe last night, you asked me last night, that they had a better chance. But now with Cincinnati be at number 9, I love the way Luke Fickell is. I think he has his team motivated, and I think they come out and they're looking for destruction. I think they win this thing big. I thought Tulsa was going to keep this close, but I don't think so anymore. I think you're going to see an inspired Cincinnati football team. The only worry is they haven't played. It's going to be about a month. They haven't played since November 21st. That's my only worry of rust here. But they've been prepping for Tulsa since then. They've been prepping since Tulsa since actually they had Temple on the 28th. So they've been prepping for Tulsa since like November 29th. They've been prepping for this game for a while. So I think they come out fired up, ready to go. I love this Bearcats team, the way they play defense. For Tulsa, they need David Collins, the defensive player of the year in the American Conference, to really step up, make some big plays. He does lead the team as well in interceptions with 4. Again, maybe early on in this game, Cincinnati trying to get the rust off of him, especially offensively. He can make a big player too. Kind of, shift momentum here would be huge for the Golden Hurricanes. Seth Boomer was supposed to be their starting quarterback, but he's out for injury. Zach Smith's done a good job. They've been banged up at running back all year. Not a great offensive team, but they do enough, and their defense has been their
Look at Jared's comment. Cincinnati will wild out in this game. We will Ritter sleeves of Tulsa. Nice one. Yeah. Yeah, he does. He definitely does.
I don't know how he does it, but
yeah.
But I got the Bearcats, and then actually the Bearcats' leading sacker is actually Darren Beavers, who 2 years ago was a leading sacker at UConn. He's a UConn transfer.
UConn transfer good to Cincinnati? Yeah. He probably wanted to win. That's the thing.
Probably.
Yeah.
He's really
probably sick of losing to Cincinnati every year.
Probably. Yeah. They took some beat down. But,
yeah.
I like him at the linebacker spot, but I'll take the Bearcats 27-10.
We got the big game, the SEC title game. Would have been bigger if Florida won last week, but the committee did give Florida a little bit of a break, putting them at number 7. Even though my cousin is a senior at Florida, I completely disagree with them being number 7. So, but for this game, I think that, Trask and Pitts keep them in it early. Maybe the game's competitive for a half, but I do think that Alabama wins this game, and I think they're a 17-point favorite. I think they cover. I think Alabama wins it by 2 or 3 scores. They're clearly the best team in the country. Great defensively with Dylan Moses, Patrick Surtain. Offensively, obviously, Mac Jones, the favorite to win the Heisman. You got sorry about that. You got Devontae Smith and Najee Harris. Unfortunately, Jalen Waddle's out, but still, that's not going to matter for Alabama. I got Bama beating Florida by 2 or 3 scores. But the big question is here, Justin. Can Trask and Pitts keep up with Jones and win the SEC?
Yeah,
I think we know the
I
answer to
don't
this
think
one.
that's
Yeah.
happening.
I think we know the answer to this one. Yeah.
49-27. I got the Bama Roll Tide taking it. Look, Brad Johnson played a really good game for LSU last week. They moved the ball really, really well. Now you get a Mac Jones team with the best wide receiver in the country, Devontae Smith, and Najee Harris. There's just no way. And Florida's one-dimensional offense. They can't run the ball. You can kind of see that last week. They're not great at running the football. Kadarius Toney's a really good wide receiver with Pitts, but they're just, again, Nick Saban, once again, they looked awful defensively into Ole Miss, but now they're playing really, really well. Nick Saban just does it every year. His defenses get better.
Yeah, Jared says it too. You sound pretty certain about the outcome of this game, and we are. We are certain that Alabama is going to win the SEC.
Oh yeah. Again, I would not be shocked if Bama puts up more than 50. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if Florida, forces a punt or more than a punt or two. I'd be absolutely shocked. They just don't have the defense to keep up with these guys, and they're just too one-dimensional. Jalen Waddle was actually, Devontae Smith posted a video of Jalen Waddle the other day. He's out of the cast, and he was, getting ready to run a route or whatever in the locker room or something. So, with, maybe in a few weeks, we could see Jalen Waddle back in the field. Who knows? But, yeah, there's just no way. And Mac Jones is going to take the Heisman title home, their Heisman Trophy home.
Absolutely. Joe was 100% right about Mac Jones. He was totally right about that. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio and Jace Garcia, who did a great job producing today, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking Week 16 of the NFL season and reacting to the college football Final Four. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Looking for a casual baseball podcast to listen to? Well, Baseball with the Bard, presented by Clovercrest Media, has just what you're looking for. Tyler Bard and Noah Cross cover a wide range of happenings in the MLB, and then dive into a deep focus on the Red Sox and Yankees. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for your weekly dose of Baseball with the Bard.
HHW Show Podcast returns January 5th with a new season, Road to the Royal Rumble. Hector, Frank, Jason Ovi will be on the set with the latest news and takeaways. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and you can listen wherever you listen to your favorite podcast app.